Hi, this is Pranav Thakurta from EduTV, the first education channel dedicated to uplift education in the Indian subcontinent, Southeast Asia, Middle East, and Africa. Our guest is the famous Mrs. Nambiar, Mrs. Shalini Nambiar. She's the director at Anandram Jaipuria School at Vasundhara. And she has helped served many schools. She has helped like GEMS School from Dubai. Then she has worked with Excelsior American School, Gurugram. Shalini's unconventional vision and wisdom find roots in her attempt to break stereotypes that education is pinned down with. The outcome, she believes, is not knowledge, but a stack of degrees that provide employment. And this is the domain where she has strong points. Operations and administration, parental interaction, and organizing and holding parenting and motivating workshops, building coalition and strategic partnership, curriculum planning and development, budget development and financial management, board and organization development, program development and evaluation, creation and management of funding projects, professional writing, newsletters, brochures, manuals, and journals, staff hiring, training, supervision, evaluation, and motivation, design of conference workshops and training, programs, building effective marketing, advertisements, and printing, analyzing, assessing the whole program. Exactly. Ma'am, we would like to have your advice for many adults only, even adults also. Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, how curiosity can be inculcated amongst these mini adults? You have given me a new terminology today. Thank you, Shalini. Over to you, Shalini.
Yeah. So I think it's very important now. We all know human beings are born curious. We are curious animals, as they call it. And when you see a little child, he's very inquisitive. He tries to hold everything. He tries to touch. He's inquisitive. He's new to the world. But what we do is we kill that curiosity. As the child grows, we see that the creativity and the curiosity of the child goes down. So there's a very beautiful, creativity test which was done by a guy called George Lands. And when he did this test result was that the creativity and the curiosity among 5-year-olds was of 98%. And amongst 10-year-olds, it was 30%. Amongst 15 years old, it was 20%, 12%. And same test when given to adults, it was 2%. So what happens is we start training them, taming the child. And with the result, what happened, you find only 10% children who are curious about the things or they question. I think it's very, very important. Like sometimes, children accept knowledge in the class which is given to them without questioning. Why do they do it? Because we have already killed that curiosity in them. So they don't think, why does the sky not fall? I mean, I'm still waiting for a kid who will ask me that question. A 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, how are the stars stuck in the sky? Very few kids ask those questions. So you'll find at 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, children are very inquisitive. They ask a lot of questions. But what we do as adults is we tell them, no, we want to tell them what we know. We don't want them to imagine. So the imagination, actually the children slowly, gradually, as they grow up, they start accepting the world which we want them to live in, without questioning the things around them. So I think it is extremely important as educators, we should try not to kill that curiosity. And the beginning can only be when we allow a child to question as much as he wants, like a parliament house, they should be, I think in a 40-minute period, 10 minutes should be just question our session. Right. Just ask children, let the children ask any questions under the earth related to the topic you are teaching, not related to the topic, that builds confidence, that builds that thing. Okay, if I'm not stupid to ask that question, I can ask. So I think it's very important.
Shalini, my next question is, ma'am, how can we transform passive and reluctant students to active and enthusiastic learners?
So I think again, the focus has to be on teaching and learning, on the pedagogy we are using. Are we using collaboration in the classroom? Are we really, using those, trying to teach those kids those 21st century skills we talk about? So what happens is in a class, I mean, if you go and observe a class, I mean, what you see is a teacher asks a question. And she will ask those children who can answer, because it's easy for me as a teacher. I don't want to make an effort to ask a kid who's quiet and sitting in a corner or try and understand. Very few people do that. And that is why the children, they start clamming up. So the new pedagogy, which is, there is so much of insistence, but there is always a resistance by the teacher, because this pedagogy leads to confusion in the classroom. There'll be chaos, there'll be noise, but that, because the focus is not, the teacher's focus is there should be no noise, but sometimes the learning takes place in the noise. When you allow children to collaborate, the peer learning is the most important thing. Like I probably I'm a school head, right? I have a challenge. I can probably share with another school head, but I may not be able to share that with my own boss, because I say, oh my God, what may he think? So the same thing happens with kids. They learn a lot from each other. So when you create those groups or teams, as you call it, in the classroom and give them a challenge, they will talk with each other, discuss with each other. Even if they are the quiet ones, they will be learning something. And to convert them into excited about learning, I think it's very important for a teacher to know the child well, know the story behind each child. What happens is when a new session starts, we start teaching from day one because the curriculum is so much. We don't spend that first week should be just getting to know the child. Okay, what do you like? What are your dislikes? Because take him from something which he likes to something which he doesn't like, you'll be successful. He'll be excited. But what we do is we don't know the child at all. We start teaching him. He doesn't like math, like you were sharing, your sister's son. Now we try and force him to learn math. We have to make math interesting. We have to take out that fear. So the focus has to be on what the child's weaknesses are. And you will be able to convert a child who's not speaking to an enthusiastic, because another thing is, don't be judgmental in the class. Don't judge a child. When a child is giving an answer, very important is there's nothing wrong or right in this world. Who creates the wrong and right? It's you and me adults who say, okay, this is the right answer and this is wrong. I mean, just imagine a child, a 4-year-old in an art class drawing a television in a triangular shape. Today, a teacher might mark it wrong, but how do you and me know that 20 years hence there might be a triangular TV? So there is nothing wrong or right. Every person answers through their perception. So as a teacher, to encourage children is allow them to answer, because children stop answering because they fear they may be wrong. That fear has to go away. A class with open environment or transparency, a warmth, a connect with the teacher, where a teacher is not going to judge you, even if you're wrong, is the best class. And that is when you will encourage children who are quiet to also speak, because most of the time, like, you and me, we go for a conference. I have 10 questions coming in my head. I may ask one, I may not ask the other 5, not because I'm scared of asking, but I'm scared what the others might think my question may be wrong. So, so the classroom environment is very important for developing that, that quality amongst kids where they can question, they can ask anything what comes to their mind. Because the initial years are the important foundational years when you set all their attitudes and behavior. And if that is the time we keep saying no, no, no to everything, their yes doesn't make a difference later in life. Great. See, I'll give you a little example. I'm a mountaineer. So, I went, we did this cliff jumping, I remember, when we went for this mountaineering course in Uttarkashi. Now, there were a lot of people who did it. Now, what is that? There's just a fear that what will happen? If you fall, you might just die. That's it. So this coach who was training us, he kept telling us, take out that fear. The minute you take out the fear, you're not scared. You jump, because So what is important is to take out the fear of being judged in the kids. Let them speak. But We want a perfect child. We want a perfect show. And it is a great challenge, Pranav, to change the mindset of people. See, it's very comfortable for me if a child learns and announces. But if he's fumbling, if he's wrong, I'm very worried. What will the parents say? What will this one say? But I'm not realizing I'm making the child learn. Through that fumbling, through that failure, he's going to be successful.
Very right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you told me about your bungee jumping experience also to me. I'm talking many years back. So I think this is very important. In fact, ma'am, even it happens in the class, maybe I know the right answer. I will hesitate to answer because other people will laugh at me.
Yes.
And then some other girl answers the right question and takes away all the applause. So then I think it's better to speak.
It's better to speak. And we don't, we see the schools are supposed to teach 4 skills: reading, writing, listening, speaking. But basically we focus on only reading and writing.
Correct.
How many of us teach them to listen? Listening is very important.
Very important.
Speaking is very important. So communication is so important, but the minute the children start speaking, we say, shut up and listen to us, because I want to talk. And teachers love their voices, sadly, and everybody, all of us. So it is very important to listen to the child, to make them comfortable, to make them allow them. The main thing is don't judge them. It's very important because as a teacher, if you're teaching grade 5 or if you're teaching grade 11, you don't know who's going to be the next prime minister, who's the Tata sitting in your class. So give them that, give them the roots, don't make them literates, make them educated with the values, with everything, with the confidence, because confidence is a very important skill. And which needs to be, the children imbibe that. You cannot teach confidence, right? When they see the environment outside, then only they become confident. And so 0 to 10 is a very crucial phase in a child's life. That's why I always say, it is the teacher. You need to know what is happening in the class because that stage makes a lot of difference.
I think very right. I'm 100% sure that your advice will help everyone, all the stakeholders of education, because the kind of experience, international experience, background you have, that's why I think your name came into our mind. So now let's speak to Shalini.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shalini.